The Amara Effect. Why your weakness is actually your power. Imagine this. You're in the middle of your lowest point, emotionally drained, physically exhausted, mentally spiraling. You feel broken, invisible, maybe even irrelevant. And then someone walks by, looks you in the eye and says, "That right there is your strength." You'd probably laugh or cry or feel insulted, because we're taught to hide our weaknesses, to patch them up, to pretend they don't exist. But what if I told you that everything you think is holding you back, your fears, your insecurities, your flaws, is actually the root of your greatest potential? This is the Amara Effect, and it flips everything we've been told about strength, success, and identity. We begin here, at the edge of vulnerability, because that's where truth tends to live. See, we live in a world obsessed with power. Not just physical or political power, but the power of image, of confidence, of certainty. We reward people who have it together. We idealize perfection. We build entire industries around hiding imperfections, filters, facades, performances. But underneath all of it, there's a quiet truth that no one wants to admit. Everyone is struggling. Everyone is fractured in ways they can't even name. And the irony? We connect most deeply not through our strengths, but through our wounds. The Amara Effect is the name I give to this paradox that your weakness, the thing you most want to hide, is the key to your power, your growth, and your connection with others. It's named after a girl I once met, Amara, who had every reason to give up. She stuttered when she spoke. She was anxious in crowds. She felt overlooked in every room she entered. But one day she leaned into that discomfort. She stopped trying to perform and started telling the truth. She told her story, stutters and all. And people listened, really listened, because in her trembling voice, they heard their own fears. Her weakness became her bridge. So let me ask you, what's the thing you're most ashamed of? The part of you that you try to silence or hide? Is it your anxiety, your past, your failures, your sensitivity? Now imagine if that very thing, the one you treat like a secret, was actually your superpower. What would your life look like if you stopped hiding it? What if, instead of trying to fix it, you explored it?
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
This isn't just motivational fluff. It's deeply philosophical. Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "You must have chaos within you to give birth to a dancing star." What he meant is that the very thing that feels like disorder inside you might be the source of creation. The pain you carry, the confusion you feel, the doubts that keep you up at night, they are not detours from your path. They are the path. But we've been conditioned to believe that weakness is a threat. From early childhood, we're taught to be strong, to be brave, to be composed. Vulnerability is treated as a flaw. But here's the twist. Vulnerability is the most human thing about us. It's the doorway to empathy. It's the birthplace of courage. And when you deny your weakness, you also deny your depth. There's a moment I'll never forget. I was working on a project with a team of incredibly talented people. Everyone seemed confident, capable, unstoppable. I felt like the odd one out, uncertain, insecure, and overwhelmed. One night, I finally admitted it. I told them I didn't feel like I belonged, that I was scared of failing. And instead of being rejected, something unexpected happened. They opened up too. One by one, they shared their own doubts. The room changed. We weren't just a team anymore, we were human. And that vulnerability made us stronger, more creative, more united. We often think power comes from pretending we're invincible. But real power, it's being able to say, "I'm not okay, but I'm still here." It's choosing to show up even when you feel like you're falling apart. That's the Amara Effect in action. It's the quiet revolution of embracing what you've been taught to reject. So the next time you feel broken, remember this: you're not broken, you're becoming. Strength doesn't mean never falling. It means getting back up, scarred but still soft. It means being willing to feel deeply, to risk looking foolish, to speak your truth when your voice shakes. That's not weakness, that's authenticity, and authenticity is magnetic. What if your weakness is not your enemy, but your invitation? An invitation to connect, to create, to lead not from a place of perfection, but from the raw, real center of who you are. Because the world doesn't need more flawless heroes. It needs more honest ones. And maybe, just maybe, your weakness is the very thing the world has been waiting for. The strength of softness, how vulnerability becomes the catalyst for radical transformation. We live in a world that worships hardness. Think about it. We admire the tough leaders, the no-nonsense entrepreneurs, the unbreakable athletes. We're told to keep our guard up, to never let them see you cry, to power through pain as if feeling it is somehow weak. But what if I told you that everything we label as soft emotion, empathy, tenderness, even doubt isn't weakness at all? What if softness is a kind of strength the world has forgotten how to recognize? That's the paradox we're unraveling now. Vulnerability, far from being your downfall, might be your most radical form of power. Think about water. It's soft, adaptable, yielding. You can push it, punch it, spill it, but it doesn't break. It flows. It finds a way. Over time, it carves through rock. And when it needs to, it becomes a flood. Power isn't always loud, fast, or sharp. Sometimes it's quiet resilience. Sometimes it's the ability to remain soft in a world that keeps trying to harden you. That's the strength of softness. That's vulnerability in action. There's this false narrative that to survive, we must armor up. That to be taken seriously, we must bury our emotions. But the truth is, the more armor you wear, the less of yourself is available to the world. When you numb pain, you also numb joy. When you suppress fear, you also suppress creativity. Vulnerability isn't about being exposed to harm, it's about being open to life. And yes, that comes with risk, but it also comes with meaning. Let me ask you something. When was the last time someone's perfection inspired you? Now think about the last time someone's honesty did. The moment someone broke down and said, "I'm scared," or "I messed up," or "I don't know what I'm doing." That kind of honesty does something to us. It disarms us. It reminds us we're not alone. That's the magic of vulnerability. It creates intimacy, trust, and transformation. Not just in relationships, but in ourselves. And yet, we resist it. We're terrified of being seen too clearly. Why? Because we confuse vulnerability with exposure. We think people will use our softness against us, and sometimes they do. But here's the deeper truth. Every time you show up honestly, even if it scares you, even if it costs you, you're building something no one can take away: self-respect. You're learning to live in integrity with who you are, not who the world told you to be. There's a kind of quiet revolution that starts the moment you stop pretending. When you stop trying to be invulnerable, you stop hiding behind masks. And that's when the real work begins. That's when you start healing. That's when you start creating things that matter. Because creativity doesn't come from perfection, it comes from feeling. Art, music, innovation, love, none of it thrives in sterile, armored environments. It's born in the mess. And embracing that mess is a form of courage most people will never understand. Softness is not surrender. It is not the absence of boundaries or strength. It is the power to say, "I am affected by this world, and I still choose to be open." It's the ability to feel deeply without being defeated by those feelings. It's the decision to connect rather than control. And in a society obsessed with dominance, connection is the most radical act there is. So here's a question for you. What would your life look like if you stopped hiding your softness? What relationships would deepen? What art would you create? What dreams would you stop delaying? Because when you stop resisting vulnerability, you stop resisting yourself. You stop living a performance and start living a truth. And maybe that's what the world is starving for: not more polished perfection, but more realness. More people who are willing to say, "I don't have all the answers, but I'm here. I'm listening. I'm trying." That simple truth has the power to change everything. So let the world be hard. You don't have to be. Let it close off and clench its fists. You can stay open. You can be the one who chooses softness not because it's easy, but because it's honest. And in that honesty, you'll find a strength no armor could ever match. The mirror of pain, why suffering reveals what you're meant to become. Pain is the teacher none of us ever wanted, but the one we all inevitably meet. It doesn't knock politely. It crashes in through heartbreak, failure, loss, betrayal, illness, rejection. And when it arrives, the question isn't if it will change us, but how. Most of us spend our lives trying to avoid pain. We numb it, distract ourselves from it, medicate it, deny it. But what if pain isn't the enemy? What if instead it's a mirror, one that doesn't distort, doesn't flatter, but reveals exactly who we are and who we're meant to become? Let's be honest, pain strips us. It peels away our illusions. It doesn't care about who we pretend to be. It rips off the masks, the armor, the lies we tell ourselves. That's why it hurts so much, not just because of what happens to us, but because of what it exposes. And yet, in that exposure, in that raw vulnerability, we're given a rare opportunity, the chance to see ourselves clearly, the chance to ask, who am I, when everything else is taken away? There's a pattern I've seen again and again in my life, in others, in history. People don't transform when things are easy. They transform when their backs are against the wall, when they're cracked open, when they lose something or someone they thought they couldn't live without. That's when the real self emerges, not the curated version, not the social media highlight reel, but the self that's been buried under years of conditioning. Pain is the fire that burns away what's false. And if you're brave enough to stay in the fire, what's left is something unbreakable. But here's where it gets interesting. Most people think pain breaks you down, and it can if you let it. But it can also break you open. It can expand your capacity to feel, to empathize, to understand suffering in others. It can make you more human. And in a world addicted to surface-level living, that kind of depth is revolutionary. So I want to ask you something uncomfortable. What pain in your life are you still running from? Is it an old wound you never acknowledged? A failure you never forgave yourself for? A part of your story you've tried to erase? Now ask yourself this: what if that very pain was the compass pointing you toward your purpose? What if your suffering wasn't meaningless, but meaningful in ways you haven't yet seen? When we suppress pain, we suppress the lessons it carries. We rob ourselves of the transformation it offers. And we keep repeating the same cycles, choosing the same people, making the same mistakes, sabotaging the same dreams because we haven't metabolized what the pain was trying to teach us. But when we face it, really face it, we gain something priceless. Wisdom isn't just knowledge. It's knowledge soaked in experience. It's the kind of understanding you can't get from books or lectures. It's earned through scars. It's the quiet knowing that says, I've been through darkness and I still choose light. And that choice, the decision to grow because of the pain, not in spite of it, is what separates those who merely survive from those who evolve. There's a story in every scar, a lesson in every loss. You don't have to glorify suffering to learn from it. You just have to stop turning away. Because the pain you felt might be the exact reason you're able to help someone else later. Your story might be the medicine someone else needs. And maybe, just maybe, the version of you that survives the storm is the version that was meant to lead. So let pain be your mirror. Let it show you what matters. Let it strip away what's not essential. And let it guide you not into bitterness or cynicism, but into clarity, into purpose, into becoming the version of yourself that no longer needs to hide. Because when the world sees someone who has walked through fire and still chooses to be kind, still chooses to believe, still chooses to build, that's power. That's transformation. That's what it means to become. Becoming the flame, how to transcend fear and live as your truest self. There comes a point after the fall, after the breaking, after the long nights of pain, when you face a choice. Not a loud, dramatic choice, but a quiet, sacred one. Do you go back to who you were before, pretending none of it happened? Or do you step forward, carrying everything you've learned, and become someone entirely new? This is the moment when you stop running from the fire and realize you are the fire. This is what it means to become the flame, to stop merely surviving and start living as your truest self, even when it terrifies you. Fear in its many forms is the final barrier. It shows up as doubt, as hesitation, as the voice in your head that says, "Who do you think you are?" It tries to convince you that you're not ready, that you need more time, more approval, more certainty. But the truth is, fear is a signal, not a stop sign. It's not proof that you're going the wrong way. It's proof that you're on the edge of something real. Because fear always shows up when you're about to do something that matters. And what matters more than living as who you really are? You see, when you've been shaped by pain, softened by vulnerability, and refined by struggle, you become something rare. Someone who's no longer defined by external validation. You don't need to impress. You don't need to pretend. You don't need permission. You just are. And that being is powerful in a way the world can't quite explain. It's not about dominance or control. It's about presence. You walk into a room and people feel it, not because you're louder or smarter, but because you're real. And real is magnetic. But being real comes with a cost. You'll lose people. You'll disappoint expectations. You'll be misunderstood. Because when you stop playing by the rules of fear, you threaten the systems built on it. You become unpredictable. You can't be manipulated. You're no longer driven by shame or scarcity. And that kind of freedom scares people who are still trapped in cages they've painted gold. So let me ask you this. What would your life look like if you weren't afraid? Not reckless, not careless, but truly unafraid to be who you are. Would you speak differently, love differently, create differently? Would you finally start that project? Leave that relationship? Forgive yourself. Because the life you dream of isn't waiting at the end of some perfect plan. It's waiting on the other side of your fear. And no, you won't arrive there all at once. Becoming the flame is a process. Some days you'll flicker. Some days you'll feel like you're burning out. But you'll also find moments, small, sacred moments, where you feel fully alive, where your actions align with your soul, where you're not trying to be anything. You just are. And those moments, they're everything. Because when you live from that place, you become a beacon, not a guru, not a savior, just a reminder. A reminder that it's possible to live without masks, that it's possible to turn pain into purpose, that it's possible to be soft and strong at the same time. You become the evidence that someone else can do it too. This is what the Amara Effect has always been about. Seeing your weakness not as something to be erased, but as the beginning of your becoming. Understanding that vulnerability is the birthplace of connection. That pain is the mirror of your potential. That fear, when faced, becomes your fuel. And that your truest self, the one that's been waiting underneath all the noise, is not only enough, it's needed. So here's the final question. Are you ready to stop chasing a version of you that was never real and start becoming the person you were always meant to be? Not tomorrow, not when it's safe. Now, in the middle of the mess, as you are. Because you don't become the flame by waiting. You become the flame by burning away the lies, the fear, the expectations, and stepping into the fire of your own truth. And once you do, the world will never see you the same again.